Hello and welcome to Carlton Town TV. I'm Dean Wykes. I'm here today with Mick Garton. Welcome, Mick. Well, this came out of the blue. I understand from feedback that I've had from supporters that they're more than happy with the appointment of Tommy and Mark. How did it come about?
I got wind at the Senior Cup final that Tommy was having a meeting at the end of the season and it was by no means certain he'd be staying there. I got the impression from talking to him that how can I put it, that vice chairman role and director of football, it'd been a massive learning curve for him, but he might at some period in the future want to get back in the dugout. But and obviously I see Tommy on a quite regular basis from a business perspective anyway, but obviously at that point there was, you know, Wayne had just got us to a cup final, and Wayne, as he's done over the years, has always got us out of a mess when we've been struggling, so there was no thoughts at that stage that we'd probably be making a change, even though results were going in the wrong direction in the league. But obviously as things panned out over the next few weeks, I think it became clear, and certainly talking to supporters, that we needed a change of direction. I met with Roger after the final game of the season. I'd also interacted with supporters, made a point of going up on the train, and I think the general view, it was time to make a change. And in fairness, when I spoke to Wayne after I'd had my meeting with Roger, Wayne was in agreement. And funnily enough, then I was at the cricket over the course of that weekend when sort of the decision was being taken. And we saw on Twitter, I think it was Dave Hodgson said to me, "Oh, did you notice Tommy's left Basford?" And I genuinely didn't know at that point, although I wasn't totally surprised, because I knew he'd got a meeting with Chris and that may be the way it was going. But once I knew he was available, it was a no-brainer for me. Having he managed this football club for 14 years, 9 of which was working alongside me, and there was a big part of me that thought this won't happen, it can't happen. When he left here, he went on to bigger things. It wasn't a case of falling out with him. He had the chance to further his career, and you know, he'd been here for a number of years. Did I ever think he'd come back? No, but I had to have a look to see if that was a possibility. So I set up a meeting with him. I didn't get my hopes up at all, I'll be honest with you, but he was encouraging me to meet him as well. It wasn't one way. I felt when we had a discussion, he's not being negative, and you know, because obviously there are restrictions here financially, and so yeah, I went into the meeting with more in hope than anticipation that we could agree something. But after sitting down and talking with him for a couple of hours, it became very apparent within 20 minutes that even though he himself had been looking at other possibilities of jobs, and I think he'd had an interview somewhere else, I think it became apparent that he got a buzz from the possibility of coming back to Carlton. So I thought, at the end of that meeting, this is doable, and he was very insistent that if we went down that road, that he wanted to bring Mark with him. They'd worked very successfully together at Colville, and he spoke very highly of Mark, and Mark obviously in his own right has got an excellent reputation as well from you know, his time at Long Eaton. And so yeah, it was, wow, this could happen. And I mentioned it to the executive committee after I met Tommy. I spoke to the likes of Roger and Mark Steggles, who's you know, on the executive committee, and Roger was buzzing, and Mark was equally positive. And you know, I thought, well, if we can do this, the fascinating things has been, Dean, the number of phone calls I've had, the number of text messages, the number of messages that Roger's had, Mark's had. The number of people that were interested in this post is frightening, and we never advertised it, and we never interviewed anybody else. Never got to an interview stage in that sense, because we wanted Tommy to come back. We just didn't think it'd be doable. But hey ho, he's here. I mean, I think you've seen the response today. The number of people that's come down to see him, supporters, and the place is buzzing. So here it is. He's back. He's back, and hopefully him and Mark will improve our fortunes, because you know, I think at the end of the day, you know, we need to start climbing that table a little bit going forward, hopefully.
You know Tommy through business, as you mentioned. He's got a great personality. I met him earlier. How do you think that will affect the club and bring a buzz around the place? When
Tommy was here previously, it was like a family. It felt like a family, and he's got a presence. He's undoubtedly one of the best managers in the league anyway, by his own track record, the success he had here and the success he's gone on to have at Colville. And I do believe he'll be a better manager, having had the relegation at Hucknall. He had the relegation at Hucknall. He's had 1 or 2 fallouts with Chairman over the years as well at various clubs. But the one thing he brings is charisma. He's got a presence, and just seeing people who've met him here today smiling and laughing, and the one thing we needed doing, we've had a really difficult season. The one thing that needed doing here more than anything else, a smile needed putting on people's faces, including my own. It's been very difficult. It's difficult when you're struggling, and at the end of the day, I think that is the first job. You talk about, he's obviously got plans with players and coaching staff, backroom staff, that the man's been on fire just here today alone, just the number of people he's been speaking to. But the one thing that I think came across, and the one thing that a lot of people on the committee said to me and supporters is, we need a smile back on our faces, and when he was here, that was one thing he was very good at, and he makes people laugh. He's got a sparkling personality. He's very sarcastic, but he brings people together, and his sense of humour is. When he left here, I had one minor gripe, in the sense that he left, and he left for all the right reasons. Don't get me wrong, but when he left, he took a lot of players with him, and Les McJannet came, and I said to Les, a little bit peeved with how many players Tommy's took with him, and Les in his beautiful Scottish said, "Don't worry about it, son, I'll sort it." And Les McJannet wasn't concerned. He knew players, he had contacts. But I look back on that now, and I think that was the loyalty Tommy had from those players. They all wanted to go and play for him. They went with him because they were, that's what he had about him. And at the end of the day, it'll be interesting to see the squad that we've got for next season. But he has got this infectious personality, and I think more than anything else at the moment, in answer to your question, that's what we need.
Yeah, he has got a great personality, and you spoke earlier about his ambitions for the club, and bringing in the quality of players that we need here. What sort of remits will you have for the forthcoming season?
Well, just initially to climb the table. At the end of the day, the fans, I think, are looking for the fans are looking for him and Mark to basically change the style of football slightly from what the style we had last season. That was something that was apparent in conversations I've had, and obviously knowing the way Tommy likes to play, and having worked with him in the past, that sort of. But more than anything else, just getting just let's get us competitive. I always realise I'm not stupid. The budget we've got here is limited. It is limited. When there's a budget, it's at the end of the day, he's quite relaxed with what the situation is. There's not a magic money tree suddenly appeared. It is what it is. But he's quite relaxed with that situation. He thinks he can get us competitive again, and his remit basically is to get us climbing the table, putting a smile back on people's faces, and hopefully getting us and make us competitive. Make us competitive in the. Obviously in the Senior Cup, and hopefully cup runs are nice. Yeah, cup runs would be nice. It's something. Wayne had a decent run in the FA Trophy last season. We had a couple of good wins, but our FA Cup form's been pretty poor in recent years. So hopefully that's something that he'll address. So just the next season, a lot of it's just going to be about moving things in the right direction. And if we're in the top half of the table, that will be an achievement in itself after the last 5 years, because it's been a struggle. Even in Les's last season, we ended. At the end of the day, Les had some fantastic success here, but even his last season was difficult. We were in the bottom, fighting relegation and that. So, it would just be nice not to have a relegation battle, really. So hopefully that'll be the first move for Mark and Tommy, and take it from there. And I'm interested, as everybody else, to see which players they keep, which players they bring in. It's exciting times, and at the end of the day. That's really the remit for going forward at the moment.
Do you think bringing in players will be a big part to their strategy?
Absolutely. I mean, the league table doesn't lie, and at the end of the day, Tommy will have to make a decision and speak to players that he wants to keep here from last season. There's some good players here from last season, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there'll be some that want to move on, and I'm sure there'll be others that Tommy won't want to re-sign. I mean, that's a matter. Tommy has seen us play 1 or 2 times. At the end of the day, he came to watch us. In the semi-final of the Senior Cup, probably as part of his remit at Baseford at the time as director of football. So he will have seen players. I know he's been at other games this season, and he will have an idea of who he wants to keep and who he wants to go. And from talking to him, certainly his contact base will allow new signings and decent new signings at that.
You spoke about the Senior Cup, and it's been a bit of an Achilles heel for Tommy in his time here. Yeah, Les and Wayne, they both had success in the competition. Do you think Tommy has a bit of unfinished business to...
Absolutely, because and I bash him a little bit with that. You know, I can remember we had a do down here. We had a reunion do, and I think it was Darryl Thomas that was there, and he was saying, "Well, you've not won that, Tom. Les has won it. Wayne's won it. You've not won that. You're a failure." You know, and Darryl, joking, he was giving him a bit of stick. But when I pulled Tommy up about it, he says, "Well, you've got to remember that Hucknall were powerful then, and Eastwood were powerful then," and he's always got an answer. That's one thing he has got. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be unfinished business, and I'm sure he'll be looking that however long he stays here going forward in this spell, that it'd be nice if he could win a Senior Cup and join Les and Wayne on the mantelpiece, as it were, from that point of view. But having said that, he did have 5 promotions here during his tenure, so I think his management in terms of that stood the test of time, and he would argue, and rightly so, that the league is the real test. But those cup wins were nice. Make no mistake about that. Those cup wins were nice.
Hopefully, he'll bring the promotions and the cup wins with him.
Well, we'll see where we go. But certainly at the moment, there's no pressure on him. I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to be realistic and understand where we are, and we need to lift up the table, and we'll see where we go.
Yeah, they're both ambitious. They've spoke of wanting to go up the league. Mark even mentioned it for this season. There's no point trying to avoid it. There have been issues with the pitch this season, and from what I've heard, they like to play football along the ground. Is that something that will be improved?
Yeah, look, we've got the do at the Dragon on the 19th of May. All the money raised from that. I managed. I used to be, as I've said to you before, I used to DJ back in the 80s. I DJed successfully for a number of years. I'm basically putting a do on at the Dragon Pub in Nottingham on the 19th of May. I've got a soul and Motown DJ coming down. I've got Alan Murphy of this parish and Josh Hodgson. They're going to kick things off. I'm going to go on later in the afternoon, and basically it's going to be an absolutely barnstorming 80s set. People come along, make donations, and we're going to have a hell of a raffle. We've got some good prizes from Castle Rock and Navigation Brewery and 1 or 2 other people. So and all the money raised on that day. Now I raised £1,000 at my last one, so you know, at the end of the day, any money raised on that day will go towards the pitch. And I understand that you know that. There are plans to do something with the pitch, and obviously we'll consult Tom and Mark on any work going forward with the pitch. I mean, Tommy did make that clear in, you know, one of the interviews that, one of the conversations that I had with him. You know, in the last few days has been about different things at the club, and the pitch was mentioned. So yeah.
Well, I'll be attending your event at the Dragon.
Thank you.
The other one was very successful.
It was good, mate. It was good. Thank you.
Mark and Tommy both have spoke about bringing in more staff to the club and backroom staff, but is there a space for volunteers to get in contact?
Look, Dean, the bottom line is we've lost a couple. Obviously, people move on, and obviously with the way the season panned out, it's you know, it's probably not been the best environment when you're losing football matches. Certainly towards the end of the season, everybody gets on a bit of a downer. And one of the things I said to Tommy when I spoke to him in the week was that, look, it's not just about the playing side. We have got a shortage of volunteers and people who are going to help out on the back. But again, I come back to when Tommy was here before. If you needed something done at the ground, he got everybody involved. The committee, the players. Might be a weekend where you did something together. So there's all kinds of ideas. But yeah, we've spoken with a couple of people today who we're hoping to come on the backroom staff and are going to assist both with from Tommy's side of it, and also from the backroom side of it. So, and also, do you know what? If anybody else wants to get involved, they've just got to contact the club, because yeah, we want volunteers. We want people who are enthusiastic about getting involved with a football club. And at the end of the day, you know, yeah, you can't have enough volunteers. But yeah, we're addressing that as well. It's not just about on the pitch. It's about having people behind the scenes to carry out the work that's needed. And like I say, a couple of people have stepped down from roles, and I'd personally like to thank Chris Bailey in particular, who's stepped away at the moment, and you know, he's done a fantastic job for the club. So if you're listening to this, Chris, thank you very much for all that you've done. And also Daniel, the programme editor, he's snowed under with work, and he's had to take a back seat. Again, Daniel, thank you, and particularly as well Paul King, the vice chairman. He's not been able to get to games of late because of his work commitments, but he said he will still help where he can going forward. And we've lost 3 good people there, but you know, that leaves a vacancy and a gap for people to come in with new, fresh ideas, and hopefully we can fill that vacuum in the summer recess, as it were.
Well, we are a community club and we enjoy getting everyone involved, and the supporters enjoy it too. There's the charity event going on for Mind, the mental health charity, at the moment. What sort of stuff do you want Carlton to get involved with the community, and how can it benefit them?
The vital thing here is that, I mean, we're obviously in the boardroom doing this interview. The bar is absolutely buzzing. It's absolutely buzzing in there. They're doing a raffle at the moment, raising money. We've got 1 or 2 ex-players are down here. Tommy's here. That's brought quite a lot of people down here because word got out last night that he would be here, and then we heard Mark was coming down to join him to talk as well. And the fact that we've got both of them on board is fantastic. And but in answer to your question, the community role that the club plays is absolutely vital. We've got 860 new houses going up over the road over the next few years. We have our school partnership games. We work closely with local schools, and at the end of the day, we've where we get the mascots and all that kind of thing. Today's game has been about helping a charity. We've got several other charity events coming up later in the year where we will help and assist local charities to raise money. This is a massive part of the community, this football club. And I must mention something else as well, which you've not asked me about, which is really important. Tommy is very keen to integrate with the academy and the juniors. He mentioned that when we spoke in the week. And it was one of his big asks about what's the under-16s like. I understand you've got a really good setup there. I understand there's been improvements to your academy, and they were the questions I was glad he was asking me. Yeah. So and just speaking with Mark earlier as well, it's obviously something that they're at a club. Yes, we can bring players in, but obviously we need to be bringing players through. So they were asking a lot of questions which were nice about the academy and about the setup and the MPL and how it works. And so massive importance is the junior setup and like you said, a progression, and also our community role is so crucial for a club like this. And absolutely honoured and delighted to host Mind and the Mind charity today. And hopefully we've helped them raise a decent amount of money because it's a good charity.
Yeah, well, the place is buzzing. I've thoroughly enjoyed it today, and I know Tommy and Mark both spoke about trying to get the academy players involved with the first team.
Yeah, definitely.
It's something that we will be seeing next year.
Absolutely, and the academy's improved this season. We've got an excellent coach here with Alex, and he's done a really good job this season. And I know Tommy's very keen to hook up with him. Now this has all been confirmed, and with the under-16s, etc. And they're things that are going to happen over the next few weeks. And obviously Tommy's going to be talking to players. You mentioned backroom staff coming in. There's going to be a lot happening over the next few weeks, and hopefully it'll take shape. And hopefully when we're doing interviews with you again in the coming weeks, there'll be lots more positive news to tell you, Dean.
Well, it's a very exciting time for the club at the minute. Thanks for joining us as always. It's a pleasure speaking to you.
Pleasure speaking to you, Dean. Now go back and enjoy the welcoming celebrations that are taking place in the bar for Tommy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.